This is a 2017 Porsche 718 Boxster, and it is a new Porsche bargain, and today I'm going to show you why. You already may be looking at my channel and you already may be saying to yourself, Shep, you already reviewed a Boxster and you already said it was a bargain. Why are you making a video on another Boxster and saying it is a new bargain? Now, it's not just that it is a new bargain. It also is my favorite Porsche model out of the entire lineup. Now, all the Porsche purists may be looking at me crazy right now that I would take a Boxster over a 911, but it's true. If you parked a 911 and a Boxster, I would, on a heartbeat, take the Boxster for multiple reasons. I'm going to go over all those reasons for you about why this is a new bargain and why it is my favorite Porsche, by going through all of its quirks and features to show you that. Now, on with the video. But first, a little bit of an overview of the Boxster. The first generation of the Porsche Boxster came out in 1996. That was called the 986 generation, and that was a two-seater sports car, and it had the same engine that was in the 911. In 2005, the newer Boxster, the 987 generation, came out, and that was called the 987 generation, and now they also introduced the Cayman. So that was basically the coupe version of the Boxster, not a convertible. Then in 2012, the Boxster got redesigned again, and that was the 981 generation, I believe, but don't quote me on that. Let me know in the comments if I did get that wrong. Apologies if I did. And then in 2016 came the 718 Boxster, which is basically the new and refreshed version of the Boxster. Instead of having a flat six, it has a Boxster engine, which I will go over in more detail further in the video. But with that out of the way, on to now, let's talk about the first interesting quirk of the Boxster, or the 718 Boxster, and that is the front. As you can see, it's covered by a license plate, but over here is a fake vent on a Porsche, which is kind of strange. These vents are functional, as you can see. Now, I believe this is just a normal base Boxster, but I believe on the Boxster S, this isn't fake, but I don't know if that's actually true. But this vent is fake, which is super surprising because you expect Porsche to be a beautiful sports car with no fake vents. But of course, every modern car these days has fake vents, and the Porsche Boxster is no exception. So it's not that noticeable because of the license plate, but when you do notice it, you always wonder why the fake vent is there. While we're also at the front of the Boxster, let me just quickly talk about these things. These are the headlight washers. Now, most luxury cars may have headlight washers, and they're these silver things on the front of the car. However, with Porsche, you can actually get them optioned out to be the body color of the car. For example, if you have a black car, you can get them painted in black. Red car, you can get them painted in red, etc. I know some Porsches may come with it standard, but just to get this little piece done in a body color is $350. I am serious, seriously going. It's just little tiny little stud of car, and it's $350. That is absurd, and I don't know who would pay that much, but they come standard in chrome, which I think looks basically, well, fine. Quirk or feature that we have is the front trunk, or frunk. You open it by pressing a little button on the key fob right here. Push that button, or you can go inside the car and pull a little switch, which I'll get to later, and you pull down on the button and it pops right open. You fiddle with the switch or the lever and it pops just right open, like so. And you can see that there's actually a considerable amount of space in here, which this front is actually really huge. I mean, you can fit like a good full-size suitcase, maybe a couple of soft bags, but yeah, really surprising for a Porsche sports car. I don't know if it is the same on a 911. Maybe it's a little bit bigger on the 911, but also very interesting, very good amount of space for a sports car like this. Before we move on to the interior of the car, I do want to talk about pricing of the Boxster. Now, this particular car, this car starts at around 60 grand. However, this car has about $15,000 worth of extras on it. So after those $15,000 worth of extras, this car cost, or $15,000 worth of extras, this exact car was $72,000 bought by the first owner. The second owner didn't pay nearly as much, and the second owner, I've been told, paid around 50 grand. So a bargain, and a bargain for sure, because you get all the latest Porsche technology and everything like that. But pricing on these, not too bad. I would say around comparable with like an Audi A5 convertible, or the new BMW 4 Series convertible, or the new C-Class. But I mean, a Porsche for 50 grand, like a modern Porsche with all the latest tech in it, I mean, that seems like a pretty good deal. Also, before we go inside, let's talk about the key fob. It is in the shape of a Porsche car, which I always tend to find really cool. You have basically your unlock, your lock, and both of your trunks on this key fob, which is really cool. But yeah, I do love how it's in the shape of a Porsche car, which, I mean, it's really cool. It's also a really good high quality key, and you have the Porsche emblem at the top. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of cool if you're interested in wondering. Inside of the Boxster, and the first thing I just want to say is I love this interior. It's really driver focused, and the dash has a really nice sweeping cockpit design. I love how the center console separates between you and your passenger. It has a really nice dash design. It's all driver focused, and that's what I really like about Porsches. But anyways, on to the quirks and features. Interesting feature about this car is the convertible top. Yes, it comes down and all fully automatically. In previous Boxsters, you had to push something up here to unlatch it, but again, this is in 2007, so of course it is automatic when you buy one of these. And here is how you do it. Okay, so you are in your Porsche Boxster and you want to put the roof down. So the first thing you want to do is put the key in the ignition, and as of right now, I'm just gonna put it in the accessory mode. You can start the car if you want to, but just in this instance, I'm just gonna put it in the accessory mode. In the middle, there's a switch that you pull up with a convertible roof. You pull that up, and within a matter of about 10 seconds, the roof magically folds back into the back storage compartment of the car, and you get a little dong to tell you that it's done. Same thing if you want to put the roof up. If you want to put the roof up, you pull the little tab in the middle, the windows come down, and the top automatically attracts, and then if you hold longer, you put the windows up. But that is how you put the roof up and down in the Boxster. Really cool, and I do really like it. Interesting quirk about this car is to do with the key. Now, I already talked you through on how the Porsche key really works and how it looks like a car and everything. Now, if you notice, there isn't an actual like push button. This isn't keyless. You still turn a key, but it's really strange, to be honest. So as I come inside the car here, you can see that on the keyholes on the left side right here, you stick the key in here and you turn it. Now, two things. One, it's on the left side because in 24 Hours of Le Mans, Porsche actually won by having the starter switch on the left side of the car. So because they just had something called the Le Mans Start, where they rented the cars and you had to turn the car on, put your seatbelt on, and drive away, and that's how the race started. So Porsche won that race multiple times because the starter switch was on the left side, so they can start the car before they get all their seat belts on and put it into gear. Pretty cool. Really interesting is that the key is like has two latches. As you can see, when you put the key in, it kind of like locks in place, which is interesting by these two things up here. You locks it in place and it allows you to start the car, which is, I don't know, that's a pretty interesting thing to happen on most like modern cars. An actual, other than a push button and other than a keyhole, it has a actual physical hole for the physical shaped key fob. I don't know if that's really common, but it's also really cool at the exact same time. Quirk is down here in the Porsche Boxster. As you can see, you have this beautiful center console with all of these like airplane style center console with all these buttons. You have your sport button, traction control off, your spoiler, and auto start stop. But as you also notice, there's some other buttons that don't tend to have an actual like purpose. They're just fake buttons, and that is in a $70,000 car. That's kind of disappointing, because with all these blank switches, you always remember every single time you get inside of your Porsche Boxster, can I actually afford those options? And why does my car need to advertise why I can't afford them? Sure, that they look really strange, but in a $70,000 car, to have blank switches, it's just kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Above that, you have your beautiful PDK shifter, which is a $3,000 option to have an automatic in this car. Standard, it comes in manual, which I think every Boxster should have, but this one has an automatic. Now above that, you could see a button that most convertibles don't actually have, or roadsters, and that is a ventilated seat button. Most convertibles just have a heated seat button, but the Boxster offers ventilated seats in a convertible. Most convertibles don't offer that, but it's cool that the Boxster does. Next, I do really want to briefly talk about Porsche's infotainment system, which is on all the Porsche models. It is pretty responsive. It does have like a kind of a click haptic. It's relatively old, but also really easy to use. Definitely really fast and definitely really impressive for a sports car. It has an optional Bose sound system, which sounds pretty good. But basically, one thing I would say is a downside is there's not that many things to configure, which I don't know if that is like a downside or an upside. That could be up to you, but there isn't a lot of configurability on a car of this level. You expect that, well, there would be really well configurability. It has a very an okay navigation system, but honestly, with Apple CarPlay would just be a lot better, which it does have. But again, putting the address in is definitely easy, but it does take some time. But overall, this infotainment system is really nice, as well as since it is a frosted glass, you don't get fingerprints, which is very nice. The next interesting feature about the Boxster is the gauges, and what's really interesting is Porsche is still using actual gauges in this car. Even when this is actually a 2017 model, you have one digital display over here which you can configure all different things. You can see like your map, your last destination, drive time, etc. But overall, again, not a lot of configurability, which is kind of disappointing. But again, the driving experience definitely makes up for it 100%. Staying on the theme of old things, let's talk about the stocks. So these stocks look very familiar, and from my 2007 Boxster review, these stocks look very similar, or not. Maybe they are the same ones from the older 2007 Boxsters. They look so alike, and they feel exactly the same. Even down here, they feel basically the exact same. I'm pretty sure these stocks are the exact same from a 2007 car. Same down with the switches down here. This is the exact same switch you get in a 2007 Porsche Boxster. Same design, same everything. And I believe this control panel, there's two blank switches here, which is interesting. And I'm guessing they use this in the 911, so they decided to cheap out and get a and use the in the Boxster, and that's why there are two blank switches here, because the 911 has two blank windows, but has two windows in the back, but the Boxster, well, it doesn't. So that's interesting as well. Moving on from the dashboard to the cup holders. You might be wondering, where are the cup holders? Are there not any cup holders? There's some storage. There's more storage, but no cup holders. That's very inconvenient. Well, not so fast, because the cup, you see on the dashboard, there's a little picture of a little drink. You press that, and the cup holders are built into the dashboard. Most people think that these cup holders are probably the most useless cup holders. Sure, the condensation drips down from them and it's not that great designed, but it's so cool. Like, they're so Porsche, they're so unique in every single way. And I think these are my favorite cup holders in every single car. Lastly, I do want to touch upon the steering wheel paddles, which are metal. Most of these type of cars have like plastic pedals, but they're high quality, they're metal, they feel very nice when you press them, which I just love the feeling of them, and I love clicking them, because when you drive it, you definitely feel a satisfying like shift click, you know what I mean? So these paddles are very, very fine. I'm guessing this steering wheel is out of the 911 too. I remember sitting in one of them and having the very same steering wheel, but anyways, the paddles are very, very nice, and I do really like them. Now, before we move on to the rear of the Boxster, I do want to touch upon the engine sound as well as the sport mode button inside the car. So this car has a 2-liter Boxster engine. In previous years, they used the flat 6. However, for whatever reason, due to fuel economy and emissions, Porsche decided to ditch the flat 6 and put a Boxster engine, which got a lot of flack, and in the end, they moved back to a flat 6 for the 2021 model year. But in this one, it has a Boxster engine, so it doesn't have that same Porsche tone, but it does have 2 modes. It has sport mode and it has your standard comfort mode. I'm gonna start it up in comfort mode and let you hear it, and I'm gonna start up in sport mode and let you hear it so you can kind of compare the difference. So this will be comfort mode. That was comfort. That sounded good, but let's hear it in sport mode. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounded a lot better. So, if you're driving a Boxster, 718 Boxster, put it in sport mode. It sounds way better. Now, coming to the back of the Boxster, I mean, there isn't a lot going on back here. You have basically the 718 Boxster badge, your spoiler, but as well as a second trunk. That is right, there's a trunk in this car. Since the engine is in the middle, like, hold on, like right here, like right here under the roof, this is how they access the engine. It's like right here, and what Porsche told me, they lift the car up and work on it from the bottom. So it isn't in the back like the 911. Don't get confused with the 911. The 911's in the back, like right here. The Boxster, it's right here. So that means that Porsche has some space for a second trunk. So you open the second trunk, and it's actually decently sized. I have a box full of detailing equipment, as you can see, this giant box full of detailing stuff. But as you can see, I mean, it actually fits a lot of stuff. A couple soft bags, maybe a smaller suitcase. But I mean, overall, I would say with the 2 trunks combined, I would say it's around the same amount of room as like a small economy hatchback, which for 50 grand, I mean, that's pretty practical for a sports car. I mean, you don't really get that in an Audi TT Roadster or a BMW Z4 or a Z4, whatever you want to call it. I watch too many British shows, Top Gear, things like that. Anyways, yeah, you don't get that in those 2 cars. But in this, you get a second trunk, which, in my mind, is really cool. And you can impress your friends. Hey man, look, I got a second trunk in my Porsche. Hey. So those are all the quirks and features of the Porsche 718 Boxster S. Now in my opinion, this car is 100% a bargain, and if you can find one, I would 100%, if you're looking for a Porsche, I would 100% go for one. These things are just amazing, and they're so much fun to drive. Now, why are these so inexpensive? Well, it's because of obviously depreciation, and this one I'm reviewing only has 20,000 miles on it, and the owner paid around 50 grand. That's around the same price as an A5 convertible or a C-Class convertible or a Model 3, for example. There's just one over there. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive for a Porsche. I mean, it has all the latest Porsche tech in it, and I mean, it is definitely very, very cool, and I would definitely take this over a 911. However, anything above that, I would probably take that over this. 911 GT2, I'll take that over this. 911 GT3, take that over this. But if we're just talking about, would you rather have a 911 or this? I would honestly would have this. I think it looks way better than a 911. People may think I'm crazy, but I think that this thing looks way better. That I've been Shep. You just watched Shep's Tech Reviews Cars, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. Comment down below what your favorite thing was about the box. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Now, a quick PSA to all the Porsche purists watching this video, and I hope you actually enjoyed the video. Now, I know you guys are referred to the Boxster as the poor man's Porsche, and it's always been known that because the people that buy these can't actually afford a 911. Now, there are two things I just have to say about that. One, I totally support the entire Porsche community and everything, but I don't really support that. I think the Boxster is a brilliant car, and some people may only like the two-seater. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to call it a poor man's Porsche, but would you call it Tesla Model 3 the poor man's Tesla? No. So, I just don't really get why they call it the poor man's Porsche. I mean, the people that buy these, 50 grand is not expensive for a car, especially when you buy these new. They're close to 70 grand. So 70 grand for a Porsche is a lot of money, and for any car it's a lot of money. And the people that buy these work really hard, and they want to own a Porsche. They want to own one of their dream cars, maybe. So, I just want to say that to people that call these the poor man Porsches, I don't really say that. I think we should my opinion, I think we should probably ditch that, because I think we should appreciate all Porsches with the same respect. Sure, maybe if you see a 911 GT3 on the road, maybe that is definitely a lot better than one of these. However, I think all Porsches, they're all Porsches or Porsches, and we should all respect them in the same way, except the Cayenne and the Macan. I think we should probably eliminate those, but all Porsches will definitely probably be the same. Just wanted to say that. So yeah, anyways, see you guys next time. Peace.